He was born in like 1906 or something, you know. So how's that orchestra? And I said, oh, we're doing really good. We're doing our second album. We're doing another album right now. And he stopped and he looked at me. He goes, what was wrong with the first one? And I'm like, I had to explain to him. I had to explain to him.
Jack and I have known each other for a long time, and what I love about Jack is he's always smiling and happy on or off the stage. He's a joyful, fun, smart, super positive dude that I love hanging and playing music with. Now, Jack started playing guitar when he was 8 years old, when his parents gave him a $2 plastic ukulele. His first gig was with his brother, and they called themselves the JBs. Jack was 10 and his brother was 12, and they put on Beatle wigs and did Beatles songs, of course, at Rotary Club meetings and the Kiwanis Club functions, and I even know what those are. Boy, can I relate, because me and my brother had a band, but we didn't wear the Beatle wigs. Now, check this out. Jack attended San Diego State University's pre-med student before even becoming a rock star. I'd let him work on me, I guess. I don't know. He's best known for being a member in bands such as Rubicon, Night Ranger, and Damn Yankees. Now, Rubicon was formed in San Francisco by Jerry Martini in the late 70s, who was the original member of Sly and the Family Stone. Brad Gillis was the guitar player in Rubicon, and they made 2 records before they split up. Now, Brad, Jack, and the touring drummer in Rubicon, Kelly Keagy, eventually formed Night Ranger, which I believe was called Ranger at first. But anyway, Jack played with Night Ranger from 1980 to 1989, and again from 1996 till present, and has sold millions of records and accumulated several hit singles. Next, Jack started this band called Damn Yankees with guitarist Ted Nugent. The other 2 original members of the band were Tommy Shaw, who plays with Styx, and Michael Cordelone, the drummer who plays with Leonard Skinner. They were a supergroup that released their first album in 1990 and sold 2 million copies. Jack also has an extensive solo career, which includes 2 solo albums, and has a long history of recording for and working with a lot of legendary rock stars. Now, Night Ranger was one of the first big video bands on MTV, with over 10 #1 hit videos. And they also can be heard on TV shows like The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, American Dad, Glee, Grey's Anatomy, and Parks and Recreation. And the band have also had music featured in video games, such as Rock Band, Guitar Hero, and Grand Theft Audio, plus hit Broadway musical Rock of Ages, the Oscar-nominated film Boogie Nights, one of my favorites, and other feature films such as Friday the 13th, Teachers, 16 Candles, and The Secret of My Success. Man, damn, so they got a good publicist or publisher. Someone's getting their stuff placed. Jack also appeared on Motley Crue's Dr. Feelgood album, and in the 1990s, he co-wrote 4 Aerosmith songs with Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, and Tommy Shaw. Jack also has written songs for Cher, Alice Cooper, Roger Daltrey, Journey, Vince Neil, Ozzy Osbourne, Styx, to name just a few. Jack, did I leave anything out?
Well, how about I'm such a likable guy. Now, come on, you know that. I mean, God, Kenny, it's great to see you, man. Great to be here with you. Thanks for blowing smoke up my ass.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what this show's all about.
I love it.
Once I do that, then I can get you to talk about anything.
There you go. You got that right. You got that right.
So you're in your studio, obviously, right?
Yeah. I'm in my sort of playroom. I have a room here that kind of like, I play around with stuff.
We were talking when we were playing, and you said at one point you had a big ass studio, and then you downsized, right?
Yeah. I had a ranch in Northern California, a 50-acre ranch in Sonoma County, and we had that for 35, almost 40 years. And when I turned 60, I said, my wife and I, Molly, we just celebrated, by the way, our 46th wedding anniversary yesterday. So
wow,
years, man. How about that, huh? That's probably a record in our business, right? I mean, you could probably count the guys on one hand that has that, whose wives you've been married that long. So, but anyway, so Molly and I decided to just sell everything and move. And we moved up to an island north of Seattle, and we're just loving it up here, man. It's just wonderful. And having a great time. And yeah, I had a massive studio. I mean, this is where Damn Yankees recorded. It's where I wrote all these songs with all these people. Tommy Shaw and I recorded our Shaw Blades records there. I recorded, I produced Great White records there, Ted Nugent records there, just tons of stuff, But after a while, it's like, man, all you need is like one rack of stuff and a freaking computer and off you go, So, I mean, I'm really happy with what I have here in my little fun room.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I get it. I mean, so now you're so upbeat. I mean, I just can't help but think it has to have something to do with your upbringing. I mean, did you have were you just born happy and positive, or was it, you know what I mean? Or was it like coming from your upbringing?
My mom was super positive woman. I mean, I don't know how she did it. She was like, my grandparents were like Serbian, like peasants. They came from, Serbia to America in like 1912 or something like that. And my mom was actually born in Canada, but I mean, they were immigrants. They were all that kind of stuff. But my mom was the happiest, like, fun loving, just loved life, loved everything. I mean, she had some tragedies in her life, man. Her first husband was killed in World War II at the Battle of the Bulge,
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, serious stuff. Then my brother died, when he was 25 of a drug overdose and all that kind of stuff and crazy. And then my dad died. She was just a happy person till she died, and she was like 97 when she died. And it's just she was always that spirit, man, that like spirit that you could do anything and get anything accomplished. Whatever you want to do, you can do that. That's what she instilled in me. I don't know. It's just kind of the way I've always been.
See, that I can relate to that, because my mom, she died at 95, same thing. And everybody's got tragedy in their life. I mean, our journey is all about what we learn through those, experiences and tragedy. But yeah, my mom was that person too, the life of the party, and right up to the last second, And so, yeah, I mean, but that I have to say that has to have helped you. You got 3 big bands. I mean, look, if I were to start a band, I want to hire somebody I get along with. That's fun. You know what I mean? So that probably had a lot to do with you constantly being in all these different bands, because people, yeah, we want Jack in the band, right? Don't you think?
Well, yeah, but I'm like you, Kenny. Like, I love playing all kinds of music. I mean, when I first moved, when I took a leave of absence my 4th year of college. I was a pre-med student, right? I was going to be a doctor. So I take a leave of absence my 4th year. I moved to San Francisco, and with Jerry Martini brought me up, the sax player for Sly Stone. And the first thing he did was take me to the record plant studios in Sausalito to start, to meet Sly. And then I go to Sly's house. I mean, I'm telling you, I did an audition when I was 20 years old at Sly Stone's house. And I swear to God, it was like a fucking Fellini movie. I mean, it was just, can I say that? I shouldn't cuss.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Whatever you
but
want.
I mean,
Go ahead.
Okay. I go in there, and Jerry says, just go in there and play your bass when they tell you to play your bass, and then we're going to get out of there right away. I'm like, okay, you're a 20-year-old kid. You're bulletproof. You think you can do anything, right? So I go in there, and we're sitting around, and there's people hanging out, and like other people jiving and music going, and people are dancing and all this, a scene, man, a serious scene. And then all of a sudden there's a hush. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. There's a hush on everybody, and everybody looks up to the staircase, and down comes walking Sly in this white robe with two women, a woman on each arm, right? And he's walking down, and we're all in there, and he comes and he sits down, and he sits in this big room, and all the people come and line up all around in this big room, like a big family room or something, right? And everybody's standing around all the things. And then Sly's like this, he's, like this. And he leans over to one of his buddies and goes like this. And so the guy tells Jerry, it goes up to Jerry Martini, says, blah, blah, blah. And Jerry comes up and he goes, go play. I'm like, play what? Oh, what do you want me to play? I'm like, Dad, what am I supposed to play? He said, just go play. This guy rolls a freaking twin reverb into the middle of the room with a guitar chord and my bass. And he goes, go play. And I'm like, well, okay. And so I get up and I go up to play. And back then, Kenny, I was definitely influenced by Larry Graham, the Brothers Johnson, everything. I was slap style. Everything's, you know. So I get up there and I'm like, yeah, okay, check this out. And I just start going. I'm slapping and grooving and nobody's moving. Everybody's standing there like this in the room, looking at Sly. They're all looking at him like this. And I'm standing there going, well, I've just kept playing, man. You know, the hell with it. I'm like, you know, all that kind of stuff and everything like that. And all of a sudden, Sly's standing around. All of a sudden, Sly starts going, starts jiving like that. Starts moving like that. All of a sudden, everybody around the room starts grooving, right? They start moving. And then Sly leans over to the roadie. I swear to God, it was just like Tom Hanks on Saturday Night Live. A roadie comes running in with like a clavinet, D6 clavinet, and plugs in another twin reverb. And all of a sudden, Sly starts going, and I'm like, we're slapping and everything like that. We're just jiving and everything's like, fucking everybody's just down in the room, like dancing and woo, you know, and everything like this. This goes on for about like 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden just Sly stops and goes, yeah. And, you know, he just turns around and talks to someone. He goes like this. And he gets up and walks out of the room. And the guy goes over to, you know, to talk to Jerry. And he says, tell him to come down to the studio tonight. Sausalito, you know, come down to the studio at the record plant. And I'm like, oh, cool. And by then, all these people are coming up to me and they're going, you know, hey man, what's going on? All these fine looking women are coming up and going, hey baby, what's happening, man? How you doing it? I'm like, this is great. And Jerry goes, okay, we're going to go now. And I'm like, no, man, why don't we stand? And he just like grabs me and frickin' pulls me out of the frickin' place. Like, we're leaving now. But it took me out of that place. And that night we were in Sly cutting. Nothing ever ended up on a record, but that we jammed all night with Sly. We played the next day. I was there for like 3 days, 4 days, just jamming away. And then Jerry formed, you know, Rubicon, and that's what happened. And nothing that Sly ever did at that time. He was pretty wild at that point. He was like, you know, and he was having a good old time. So nothing really got accomplished, you know, and everything like that. But that was my first indoctrination to the San Francisco music scene, huh? How about that, from the frying pan to the frickin' fire, right?
Oh my God. That's one of the greatest rock and roll stories. I mean, that's unbelievable. I can't compare that to another story just like that. That's it. But I remember going to see Sly when I was a kid, and you know, he was notoriously like 2 hours late, 3 hours late. Everybody was all, you know, messed up. And but I remember, oh my God. I mean, yeah.
We'd go to the studio. We'd be in the studio, and there was two people. There was Sylvester Stewart, and there was Sly Stone. Okay, so during the day, he'd come in. You know, you'd be. I was with my cousin, a real good-looking girl that lived in San Francisco, and she went out to smoke a cigarette. You know, Sly's like, you know, lighting a cigarette for her. Just real nice. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? Come on, let's check this out. I've got this thing I'm playing now. And okay, just about like 7, 8 o'clock at night, the sun goes down. Some dude shows up with a freaking shoebox, you know, and the next thing we know, it's fucking Sly Stone, this vicious freaking, whoa, look out, you know. And that was the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing. God bless him, man. Some of the greatest, the most inspiring music that I ever heard in my life was the music off of those records. I mean, I still listen to Fresh before we go on stage. The Sly Stone album, Fresh, with In Time.
Oh, yeah.
If You Want Me to Stay, If It Were Left Up to Me. Yeah, no, I mean, just, I still, you know, before I go on stage, I'm jamming that, man. I mean, that was some of the most amazing music.
Yeah, you know, it's guys like that, James Brown, or even Prince. They just create a whole new style that nobody ever had. And, you know, you know the drummer, Andy Newmark?
Of course. He played on the Fresh album, man.
Yes.
That's some of my favorite licks, man.
Yeah.
Oh, hits that hi-hat. There's a Mickey in the making of disaster. Oh, I got goosebumps just thinking about it. Andy Newmark is a freaking saint as far as I'm concerned.
Now, for people who don't know who Andy is, he was like a session guy in New York. And he was on tour with they were doing something in San Francisco. I can't remember who the artist was, but it was nothing like Sly. It was like, not Linda Ronstadt, but some singer-songwriter. And he heard that Sly was looking for a drummer. In the he had some time between shows. He goes driving up to Sly's house and he goes to the door. He says, I hear, and there's a big black guy saying, hey, what do you want? He says, I hear Sly's looking for a drummer. He says, wait a minute. Goes up. The long story short, he goes up. This is kind of in sync with what you're saying. He goes upstairs, Sly's in his room. He's got cowboy boots on and cowboy and maybe some shorts. He says, you play drums? He says, yeah, play for me. Just like what happened to you. Started playing, says, you got the gig. Then Danny went driving down and played his gig, and that's how he got the gig. It was like, same sort of thing, play.
Unbelievable.
And then Sly got up and started dancing. That's what it was.
That's the way he was, man. That's the way he was. I mean, he knew music. He knew talent. He knew he knew it from here, man. Sly was like all about the heart. And then it got all crazy with all of, the drugs and everything like that.
All right. So in those bands, those three bands, was there a democracy or was it like one leader?
No, it was with Night Ranger and it was always like, us against the world when we first started out. We were a bunch of kids like in San Francisco, like, wanting to be rock and rollers and play music and just hoping we could do a second album. I love this. This is Kenny. This is classic, man. Yeah, my wife's father, my father-in-law, John Menzies, Molly's dad. He was like, we did our first album, Dawn Patrol record, and it sold really well, 1 million records, something like that. And one day we were over there for dinner. They lived in San Francisco. We were over at dinner. They were big, fancy San Francisco folks. And, he said, he called me Junior and he goes, well, Junior, how's that orchestra of yours doing? That orchestra, you call it an orchestra, right? Right. Cause he was born in like 1906 or something, So how's that orchestra? And I said, oh, we're doing really good. We're doing our second album. We're doing another album right now. And he stopped and he looked at me. He goes, what was wrong with the first one? I'm like, I had to explain to him. I said, John, see, the idea is you keep doing, you get to do a second album and third album. That's the idea. You keep doing more records and everything like that.
My God.
That was pretty cool.
It's a transition from, they didn't know what rock and roll was. Hell, we barely knew what rock and roll was.
I don't know. I got off on a jag on that, but with Night Ranger, it was always like a democracy. I mean, we'd all decide what was going on the songs. There's certain songs that Kelly sang really well. His voice fit a certain song, like the ballads, stuff like that, and my song fit more of the rockers and everything like that. So it was pretty like pretty present right there, like who could sing what and who would do what on what song. And Brad and Jeff with their guitars, they kind of traded off with solos and did all those things. And with the damn Yankees, yeah, it was really the three of us, all three of us. And I mean, Tommy and I, we knew each other and not really well, but we knew each other pretty well. And people could see like Tommy Shaw and Jack, Tommy Shaw from Styx, Jack Blaze from Night Ranger, but Ted Nugent, is this big personality.
Yeah.
But Ted was the opposite. He was like, yeah, do whatever, whatever you guys want. Let's do whatever you do. Let's do this. Let's do that. I mean, check it out. When Tommy and I wrote the song, we kind of wrote the song High Enough, right? The big hit off the first album. And we were like, after we finished it was one of those songs that we finished it like, Kenny, how it goes. The good stuff is like 30 minutes later, it's done, right? All the lyrics were written, the music, we had it. We just, we were in New York at Tommy's Brownstone on the Upper West Side. And we just like finished the song, got it all done. And we recorded it on the cassette. We're like, and we looked at each other and we said, this is good, right? Is this any good? I think this is good. Is this good? I think this is real good. I think that's a good chorus. Is this good? And so, but we were afraid to play it for Nugent, right? It's a ballad. Here we are in a band with Ted Nugent. And so we go into rehearsal. We're like, all right, should we play it for him? We're like, okay. So we're like, hey, Ted, we wrote this song. He's like sitting in a chair, leaning back, got his gun in his back. And he's like, chewing on a toothpick like Ted does. And he's sitting there and he puts the cassette in and he's sitting there listening to it. And he just didn't move. He doesn't do anything. He just listens to the song. And then it comes and then the next, and he listened to the whole song. And then he sits up, goes, and we're like, Tommy and I looked at it and we're like, oh boy, here it comes. Here comes the shit. Here it comes. Nugent's going to like fucking go nuclear on us. And so he goes, no, I think I know what this song needs. So we're going, oh boy. Oh, okay. He goes, here's what, and he grabs his guitar and he goes, here's what I think he needs. I think it needs this right before the chorus, like, just like it. And Tommy and I looked at each other and goes, that's exactly what it needs. That's exactly right. So we cut it, wasn't a problem. He loved it, and boom, it became like a big #1 record.
No kidding. And yeah, I was going to ask about that song. That's like, I mean, it doesn't get any better. That's a massive chorus. Did Tommy write that himself and then brought it to you guys? Or you guys?
No. Tommy and I sat down. I'll tell you how that song was written. I was in like I said, we were at Tommy's brownstone. I was doing my laundry downstairs in his basement, and I'm doing my laundry, and I'm like going la da 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 anymore. It's a shame I got to. I'm just singing words and with that melody, and Tommy's upstairs, and he's like, "Hey, what's that?" And I said, "Oh, just something I'm just fooling around." And he said, come on up. And we go up in the studio, and I start singing. We put it down real quick, and we both came up with the bridge, don't say goodbye. Then we came up with that, and like Tommy and I both like at the same, Tommy came up with, can you take me high? And I'm like, fly me over yesterday. Can you take me high? And we just said, oh, good. That's a great chorus. No, we need a bridge. And it's like, and so we just came up with the bridge right away. Literally, I'm not kidding you, Kenny. The song was written in like 35, 40 minutes. Boom, it was done. And that was it.
That's great. I love that. And what about like, You Can Still Rock in America, which is, what a cool beginning.
Oh, dude.
And how did that come up, and who came up with that?
Oh, and Don't Tell Me You Love Me. Yeah, but
that's Don't Tell Me You Love Me.
Yeah, that's
right.
Don't Tell Me You Love Me. The Rock in America came about is we're on tour with Sammy Hagar, right? We're doing our first album. We released our Dawn Patrol record, and we were on tour with Hagar doing the 3-Lock Box. He was doing his 3-Lock Box tour, and it was like, 1983, all of 1983. And so we're out with him, and all the magazines, Kenny, were like, Rock is Dead. It's like coming out of 1980, 1981, 1982. And, Rock is Dead. The new music is coming in. It's like Blondie, The Cars, Haircut 100, Flock of Seagulls, all these bands, and everybody, and I was reading all these things going, Rock is Dead. And I'm like, we're with Sammy. What? Yeah, exactly. And we're with Hagar, and everywhere we're playing with Hagar, there were thousands of people just, rocking out, just going crazy and going wild and everything. And I'm like, and we were sitting, I remember we were sitting in a bad, like, economy lodge in like Springfield, Illinois or something like that. And I'm like, I'm reading these magazines, and I'm going, Rock is Dead. I was like, as far as I'm concerned, you can still rock in America. And I went, wow, that's a great idea for a title. So I just wrote the song, brought it into Brad, and Brad's like, we just created the whole song. And that's the same thing that happened like on Don't Tell Me You Love Me. I brought the song in, and we decided we needed this up. You know how, like with Motown songs, they all start with something like to catch yourself right off the bat.
Yeah.
And we were a brand new band, right? Nobody ever heard of Night Ranger. We hadn't made a record or anything like that. So we did something we felt like that would jump out on the radio, like how Motown used to do, like, stop in the name of love. And you're like, oh, what's this? You turn it up on the radio, or down, 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 and like, all this Motown.
Or my girl.
Yeah, my girl.
Boom,
Exactly.
boom,
Exactly.
boom,
Right.
boom,
So,
boom, right away.
Exactly. So we needed something. We thought, what could we do where all of a sudden the records start, people hear it on the radio and they go, what the hell is this? So how about right off the bat, we just crock them in the mouth, man. How about we go, bum, 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 just freaking go for it, So that's how the intro came about, just taking a cue from our Motown, our Motown brothers,
That totally worked. And it was so cool playing those songs when we did that Kings of Chaos gig a while ago. And, for people who don't know Kings of Chaos, it's like a super group, and they have guest singers, and Jack was one of them. So we got to play all those 3 songs.
That was a blast.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's so
you
cool.
and I playing together is like freaking over the top, and we're around each other, just like looking at each other going,
I
ba, ba,
know.
ba, 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 just
Yeah.
throwing it down and jumping and dancing. And oh man, it's badass.
That's what I was about to say, man. The thing is that, like, you are so authentic, and I'm that same guy. I mean, this ain't an act. It's like we don't put on our rock and roll costume, well, personality. We're this way 24/7, and I think being authentic all the time and being exactly who you are that's the way you get your best work done. That's how you end up doing, because you're not trying to second guess. You're not BSing yourself. You are being completely you. This is what I am. So your work is always going to be at 100%. You're always presenting 100%. And that's what I noticed about you. I noticed that about you.
That's totally right. And that even goes into songwriting, man, because when if you're authentic, if you really write down what's in your heart, in your soul, I mean, when somebody writes a song and somebody writes lyrics, that's probably the closest glimpse into their soul as a person can see, man, because you're laying it out there. You know what I mean? You're laying it out. And I honestly, there were times back in the 80s, like on one of our albums, I think it was like the Big Life album. I think that some of those songs, we were like writing songs that what we thought people would like, as opposed to writing songs that were coming from our heart and our soul to make people feel it, because that's what we did on all our other records. And I think that, you've got to do that. And that's what we did when we started back up with Night Ranger again, man. We're all getting together in a room. We're jamming. We're doing our music from our heart and our whole soul. I mean, if some people don't get it, that's cool. But you know what I mean? It's real. And it's just what you're going back to the fact that it's got to be real, man. It's got to be real. And it is.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And here's the thing. Even if they don't like it, because people are feeling creatures, they're going to feel, oh my God, that is 100% real. That is real. They're going to feel whether they like it or not is a whole different thing. But I think you get your best work done by being exactly that, doing exactly what you just said. And I sense that from you. So thank you for, emphasizing exactly what I'm talking about, because I sure felt it. Now, Night Ranger, I mean, or any of both these bands, I mean, do you think that your success was based on, like, that the songs you wrote were like radio friendly, and back then radio was the way to get your stuff heard? Was it they were radio friendly songs, or was there more to it? The message, I mean, what do you think?
I think it was a combination of everything. I think right when we released Dawn Patrol and released Don't Tell Me You Love Me, MTV was brand new. I mean, I think at that point they had like, 8 videos or 6 videos that they were playing. And when we gave them, our buddies, I had some friends that were going to the UCLA's film school, and they checked out all the film equipment on the weekend. And we went and ghetto styled all over LA and filmed the video for Don't Tell Me You Love Me. And then in a studio, he made a little train track, and we did this whole thing and everything like that. But I think that MTV, the fact that it was so new, I mean, when we gave them Don't Tell Me You Love Me, they started playing that thing like 14 times a day. I mean, we were on tour with Hagar, and we go into a town and people would recognize us, like, yeah, I just saw you on MTV, because MTV was that brand new thing and everybody was checking it out and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, I love it, man. You were on MTV. We were like TV stars. It was like, I think with Night Ranger, I think we had accessible songs. America, I mean, and the world, really, everybody loves a great harmony and a chorus. And that's what we had. We had twin guitars. I mean, if you think about it, Kenny, our band, we were big Thin Lizzy fans. And all of us were. And if you think about it, I mean, we have like a bass player that sings, 2 lead guitars doing guitar harmonies, and stuff like that. We just added a keyboard, you know what I mean? And it's like, that's kind of what, so we kind of were doing these things. I think it was a combination of the fact that MTV was there, with the fact that we wrote some really good radio friendly songs, and we wrote songs that people felt and they could relate to. And I think that made it very successful, and we carried it on into the damn Yankees, the same thing, with the damn Yankees and everything.
Yeah, you could see how the same kind of business model. I mean, everything you said, the way you put songs together, you had all the elements that people wanted to hear, and then you had that visual. Of course, MTV became the biggest game in town when it started. It was like, whoa, you don't have to go to a concert to see somebody. You can actually watch it on TV.
It was a bit of a two-edged sword because it was like, at first, all you had to do was be a musician, right? You could just be a musician. Then, okay, now you got to be a songwriter. Now you got to be a poet. Let's be a poet too, because you got to write lyrics and you got to come up with all that. Let's do that. And now you have to be an actor. Yeah, you have to act on MTV. I mean, it was like, God dang, what else do we have to do here? I just want to get up and meet girls and play guitar. What the hell,
Dude, I remember my first video. I was nervous. It was Hand to Hold On To with Mellencamp. We were at a stone quarry in Bloomington, Indiana. And just the whole concept that cameras were all over me, especially when they do those close-up shots. It's like, oh man, I was like, oh man, I didn't know how to look cool in front of a camera. It took a long time, but that was like just all new, right? You didn't worry about how you looked or how you dressed. And I definitely hadn't got my cool together at all. Because, when you're young, when you're young, it's all about the instrument. Yeah, how do I play? How do I sound? Then all of a sudden, you got to have a thing. And talk about being authentic. You got to figure out who you are so that you know how to dress that looks how you are and how you feel. So it's a whole package. And it takes time.
It does. And like I said, all of a sudden you have to and then how videos ended up from being just performance videos to now you're acting. You're becoming an actor. You've got lines. You have to interact with this girl. You have to do this. You have to have a love scene. I'm like, what the fuck?
You're probably thinking, God, I wish I hadn't written that love scene.
I know, right? Oh man.
So when you write songs, do you have? It sounds like you already answered my question. It's like sometimes it's the lyrics, sometimes it's a melody. Do you write on piano, guitar? Is it always bass, or is it just every which way?
It is every which way. Originally I was a guitar player, and my parents gave me the guitar when I was really young, and when I was about 13, we formed a band with my junior high school buddies and everything like that. Hold on. Hold that thought. Okay, hold on. Can you see this? There we are.
Yeah.
That's me.
Oh my God.
This is me.
What was the name of it?
Where am I?
I love those first bands.
That's me right there. We were the Nomads. Of course, right?
The Nomads.
So anyway, at that time, there were about 6,500 rhythm guitar players and nobody played bass. And so I talked my parents into okay, I'll play bass. And so I talked them into getting me a bass guitar and a bass amp. And so I ended up being the bass player just out of necessity more than anything else. But songwriting, I write on guitar. I play ghetto piano. I can feel my way around piano and stuff like that. When you close your eyes, I wrote that on a piano when we were actually doing the Midnight Madness album. I was in the back room at Sense Recording Studio, which is down in LA. What's it called now? I forgot what it was called, but Harry Maslin did all the stuff down there. And but anyway, I was just in the back room banging it when you close your eyes, do you dream about me? When you close your eyes, do you dream about me? And I sang it for the guy that owned the studio, Harry Maslin, and he was the producer of Bowie and Air Supply and all these other people. And Harry said, he's from New York. He's like, that's a real good one. You got to put that on the record. You should finish it. I'm like, you think so? Okay. So we finished it, became one of our big hits too and stuff like that. So it's piano, guitar, I really don't write on bass. I kind of mostly guitar and piano. Sometimes lyrics come first, sometimes a melody. Sometimes I'll just start singing a chorus, you know what I mean? And suddenly, I'll flesh it out and stuff like that. So I bring it in from everywhere.
But do you actually sit down oh God, I got to write a song? So you go into your music room and say, okay, Or do you wait for an idea just to come and you log it down?
I can't do that Nashville thing. I've done it before and stuff like that. I can't do that 9 to 5 writing business. You know what I mean? I think you got to be inspired.
And that's part of being authentic. That's what I was telling you. You don't force what you feel. You feel what you feel. That's it.
Kenny, I sense a theme in this podcast. Authenticity. That's right. You're right. Yeah. But so I try to do that. I can't do that, man. So I just come, when I'm on the road, I'm basically on the road. I really don't ride alone on the road. Just a few songs, like I said, Rockin' American and a few other ones. But mostly all that stuff gets into my brain, and I come home off the road, and I'm sitting home for like a couple of weeks. And then I'm like, looking at my wife, what do I do today? And she's like, I'm not your freaking road manager, man. Okay. I don't know. It's like, what do you expect? A freaking note underneath your door telling you what you're going to do today? In about 2 or 3 weeks, ideas start coming up in my head. And so I start recording them and laying them down and writing them and, dictating them and stuff like that. That's how I end up writing most of the song.
What was on your turntable when you were a kid? I mean, your parents, sounds like they played a lot. I mean, because, that stuff influences your whole melody idea. Were they playing like Broadway musicals, or what was on the turntable?
I'll tell you what was on the turntable. My older brother, who I mentioned, passed away. Jimmy, my brother Jimmy, who died of it. He died back in 1977 when we first were recording our first Rubicon album. Real tragic. Overdose, man. Snorted a bunch of heroin like it was coke, and never woke up. Never woke up. It's one of those sad stories where in the mid 70s, a guy's all like, messed up and stuff. And you're like, hey man, just knock it off, man. You'll be good. Now you'd like put him in rehab. You do this, you do that.
Oh yeah.
Back then.
Yeah. Back then it was all new.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
Yeah. Back then you're like, hey man, knock that shit off, or something like that. And it's like, that didn't work. But anyway, it was, what was I saying? What were we talking about?
We're talking about what was influencing, what was...
the music that was playing was my brother. I'm sorry. I thought of my brother, and I thought of the song Goodbye, because I wrote that song about my brother, like I never had a chance to say goodbye to him. And so I wrote that song all about, but anyway, he was listening to all this, like when I was growing up, I was listening to like the Cowsills, the Rain, the Park and other things. And like, the Monkeys, I dug the Monkeys and all that kind of stuff. But my brother was, 2.5 years older than me. He was like, we lived in Palm Springs at the time, Palm Desert. And he was listening to The Doors, Hendrix, Big Brother. I mean, he was listening to like heavier stuff. So I started hearing all that stuff too, and then, and so that kind of like, I think growing up, I listened to so much pop music. And in that era, man, in the late 60s, I mean, think about it. All those bands like, the Strawberry Alarm Clock, Incense and Peppermint, Strawberry. Yeah, exactly. And all the bands like, and then along comes Mary. The Association. Yeah. And all these bands are like, Imagine Me and You, I Do, the Turtles, and all these bands, it was all like pop music. I can't see me loving nobody. All this pop music was just like, I was engulfed in all this pop music. And I think that's what got me to, when I started writing songs, it was like, when you close your eyes, do you dream about me? You can still rock in a mat, don't tell me, all those kind of songs.
Just melody, a lot of melodies.
Like Simon and Garfunkel. I was listening to Simon and Garfunkel.
Beatles.
And the Beatles.
The Beatles.
Dude,
come on.
Here, where is it? Can you see it here? My Ringo sticks. My Ringo Starr.
Oh my God.
My Ringo. Look where he hit. Look where he hits, Kenny. He hits right here.
Wow.
Right here in the middle.
Wow.
Not. When I played with Ringo, we did that VH1 Storytellers and all that stuff. He gave me these sticks and stuff like that. But all his hits are right in the. It's like
that's crazy.
When he's hitting that cymbal, man, it's like right there instead of up there. And so he's not. He's like dun dun dun. It's like right there.
Actually, probably get more power. It's closer to your hand. God, whatever he does is working.
Yeah, but you're right about the Beatles. The Beatles were huge. My first record I ever bought was the 45 of I want to hold your hand. And on the opposite side, I saw her standing there, and it was the 45 with the cover, black and white cover of them in their little Nehru jackets, and McCartney's with a cigarette, and they're all standing there like this and stuff like that. That was my very first record. I bought it at a Sears and Roebuck or a five and dime store in Indio, California in 1964. Oh, my dad, I'm playing the record. And then we got Meet the Beatles, right? I'm playing the Beatles record. And my dad said, yeah. And my dad goes, oh man, 6 months, you'll never hear about those guys. And I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, I tell you.
Oh, my God. That is good.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like me. You have the touring life, you got the studio life. Which do you prefer, one over the other, playing live versus, being in the studio, making records? Do you have a preference, or you like both?
I'm okay with the studio. Like it's all right. Like I've lived like you, Kenny, like I've lived basically all my adult life, either on a stage or in a recording studio. You know what I mean? So it doesn't, like, I'll walk into a recording studio and it's like home for me. There's no red light fever or anything like, just like, let's go, let's do this thing. And, but on the stage, I love playing live. I mean, I love the audience. I love the people. I love the fact that we all get together before we go on stage, and do the hands together. We're like, let's go out there. Let's say this, because the way I look at it is like, we'll play with big bands. There's other big bands. There's other famous bands. We might not be this and that and the other, but when we walk on that stage, Night Ranger is the baddest motherfuckers on the planet, and we own this stage. This is our stage, and we're going to frickin' own it. And that's the way we all walk out when we do it. And then we just throw it, and we just throw down, and we give everything we have. Night Ranger is always like, we've always given 100, 110%, like every time we get up on stage. And none of us gets all like toasted before the stage. I mean, one time before we even had our record deal, Kenny, it was great. We played a club in Sacramento, and it was like a New Year's or something like that. And we're all like, oh, it's New Year's, right? So we're drinking, we're like, and everybody's just having a wild time and going crazy and everything like that. And we got up there and we were so shitty. We were so freaking bad. I mean, the worst that it could ever be. That the next day we heard it and we were like, oh my God, never again. And we never did. Nobody. I mean, we'd get crazy. It'd be wild after the shows. It'd be wild, everything. But never before or during a show did we ever like get high, get loaded, get drunk or anything like that. We'd always say, but we'd never walk on that stage like high or drunk or something like that.
I totally relate, because I mean, I'm one of those guys. If I have one drink, it sounds like I had one drink. If I have two drinks, it sounds like I had two drinks. And once I went through a couple experiences or a hangover, I was, whoa, no way. Because you know why? Because the show, the performance is more important than getting partying. The partying's fun, but you don't want to party and then go on stage, because then all of a sudden playing ain't fun.
Hey man, we learned that the hard way on our very first tour. Because you go out there and you see all those people have saved up their partying hours for your concert. Okay. Like maybe they haven't done anything for a month or a month and a half or 2 months, but man, they're going to frickin' blow it out at your concert. So our first tour with Hagar, it was like that. We'd get out there and everybody be like, let's party afterwards. And it's like, let's go. And we'd go on there. We'd be out there. And like that night, and then the next night we're in another town. It's like, hey, everybody wants you to party with them. Okay, let's go. And then the next night and the next night, after about 4 or 5 days, we're like, and after a while, you realize you can't do that. You just literally can't do it. So you have to you can't do it. We learned very early on Sammy's tour. We learned early on that you can't party every night. That's for sure.
Oh, that's and. He doesn't party at all ever, does he?
Who's that?
Sammy.
Oh, Sammy. Oh, yeah, right. Are you kidding me? Those guys, we're out with them now. There's tequila everywhere, man. There's a bar in the back. There's bar on stage. And then he got pissed at us because we had a different tequila in our dressing room. and Michael Anthony, Mikey and Vic were coming over in our dressing room. We're drinking our tequila too. And it's like, I'm going to freaking throw you guys out. You guys got my guys drinking that other ticket. What are you doing? He was like laughing, but I mean, it was like,
Oh yeah.
them boys are drinkers,
yeah.
man. Them boys are drinkers.
Oh yeah. And Michael is the type of guy, because I played with Chickenfoot. I did a tour with them on their second album. Michael's the type of guy, it doesn't matter how much he drinks. He's always perfectly in tune, perfectly in time.
I can't believe it.
It's like, what? I can't believe it. I don't know. I'm not that guy.
I know.
But he's like, fine, it's nothing.
We're on the
nothing there.
It's totally. We're on the side of the stage with Mike, and they're having shots. And I'm taking a shot every time he takes a shot. I could barely walk off the stage, and he's up there playing a freaking bass solo and singing.
I know.
And I'm like,
I know.
Are you kidding me? Crazy.
I know.
Crazy.
Unbelievable. So with with all the stuff you've done, and it's kind of a weird question, but is there one thing or a couple of things that like really go, whoa, that was one of the heaviest moments of my career that really stands out? I mean, people ask me that and I'm like, huh? Where do I begin? But I thought maybe you would have one of those. Do you have one of those? Like, this was the big one. This was amazing. This thing changed my life.
I think there were two things that happened. One was it happened. We were with the damn Yankees and we're playing, I don't know, some Coliseum was packed, sold out, 15,000 people or something like that. And Ted was doing a solo. And I swear to God, Kenny, I actually felt like I left the planet, or I left this plane. Like he was in there going, and doing all this stuff. And I'm up there jamming. And all of a sudden, everything, music is jamming and it's loud and everything. And it's like, well, and all of a sudden it was like, and I was just like I was floating. And it was like almost, I swear to God, man, it was almost like an out of body like experience. And it was just like, I was floating like on a cloud, like it was the strangest thing. And then all of a sudden, and all of a sudden, I'm back in, and I'm like, what just happened? And it was with Ted. Ted was playing a solo, and that's never happened to me before. And it's never happened again. But he was doing something. He had a note, a sonic thing, something, because Ted, when he plays, it's all heart and soul. When Nugent plays, it's all heart and soul, man. There's nothing but pure heart and soul, and just like he just is. He goes there. He goes to that spot that people can rarely get to. And he does. But that did it to me. That, and then there's one other time when I was playing with Ringo, and we were rehearsing in London, and it was me and let me see, who else was. Well, we had a whole bunch of guys in the band. Simon Kirk was playing drums with us because he played drum. Simon played with Ringo and a lot of stuff, right? And so Ringo could come out front and sing, like Lord, and stuff like that. And Joe Walsh was there, and we're all jamming.
Woo!
Ringo. This is when we're rehearsing for like VH1 Storytellers to make the record, and Ringo hadn't come in yet. And we're up there and we're just fooling around with song. And all of a sudden we start doing Ticket to Ride, right? And nobody's on the drums. The drums are sitting there, but I'm up there playing bass like boom, down, boom, boom, down. And I'm up, I think I'm gonna be sad. I'm singing it. And the guitars are playing and Joe Walsh is playing it. We're just having fun, right? And Ringo and Barbara Bach walk in. He walks into the back room and Ringo's like, walks back with his hands behind his back. And he's like, hello, how are you? Hello. He walks in the back room. All of a sudden he hears what we're playing, and he runs the whole length of the studio, runs into the drums and gets behind the drums and starts going, snap, bum, bum, and I'm sitting there going, I think I'm gonna be sad. I'm looking over my shoulder, and that's Ringo frickin' Starr and me we're playing Ticket to Ride, and I'm singing it. And I swear to God, at that moment, I said, I'm done. I've gone to heaven. I've accomplished everything as a musician you could ever accomplish. I sat there and there we are, like doing Ticket to Ride. And it was like, that was almost an out of body experience. I mean, I'm talking about now, my hairs on my arms raising.
Dude, I did the tribute. Well, I played with Ringo a couple times, and it is uncanny how nobody sounds like him. I mean, that's Ringo Starr. I'm doing gold double drums, and I was freaking. That's the drummer from the Beatles. It sounds like the Beatles when he plays. I mean, it's a feel.
He's got that middle pocket. He's not like ahead of it, not behind it. He's right in that middle. Oh my God, you're right. And people go always, oh, it's the luckiest guy in the world. Bullshit. He's a freaking
Bullshit.
amazing freaking drummer is what he is.
It's deeper. It's like he's half between swing, half between straight. The bottom line is he's one of the most musical, creative drummers I've ever heard in my life. He's a musician. He's a musician that plays drums. Unbelievable. I mean, and I did that tribute, a CBS special, the night that changed America. And, he's out there. I got to play 4 songs with him, but I mean, he was out there the whole night. I was playing with everybody. And at the end of the night, I mean, it was like, I was, I was doing something, that very sort of, bam, bam, something in the way you look, da, da, da. It's really slow. It's like 63 beats a minute. And Joe Walsh is playing it. And I mean, every note has got to be just perfect. And I'm thinking, Ringo's out there. He knows every fill I'm doing, every lick. It was like,
you better play it right.
I know. And everybody knows his parts. I mean, there's only one way to do it. Boom, 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 and in the way. And that starts off the way I did it. Start with your left hand.
There you go. There's Ringo and me.
Yeah.
Rehearsing a thing. Yeah. Oh, I mean, he told me once his favorite drum thing that he's ever done was Rain. I'm like, Rain?
Wow.
So next time, listen to Rain. It's like, think about it.
Oh, I know.
I mean, he said that was his favorite Beatles track. Isn't that wild?
Wow. Thanks for telling me that. That's incredible. You don't have to answer this, but I heard that recently you had a little bit of a health scare. And if you don't want to talk about that, you don't have to, but you sure seem very healthy right now.
I was like, we were down at a show. We were getting ready to play in Anaheim, and suddenly I started feeling like really weird. You know what I mean? I was like indigestion and everything. Also, my arms started tingling, and I just told my road manager, take me to the hospital. And the doctors, they said it was like the canary in the coal mine. It was like a heart thing, and I had a blocked, one of my arteries is blocked, so they fixed that, and I'm all fixed. And they said, hey, dude, we fixed you, but it was like the canary in the coal mine. Like nothing serious happened, but you're aware of what's going on now. And I'm like, damn, that's amazing. So I'm like, Mr. Mediterranean diet. I've lost like 10 pounds. I'm all healthy. I'm freaking running every day. I'm working out. I'm on the I'm on the elliptical machine. I'm on this in every hotel.
But you always looked healthy to me. You didn't look overweight.
No, I mean, the doctor said to me, dude, he said, it's like you're one of those people that just snuck under the radar. My family, like my dad had he died of a heart attack, and it's like genetics. And he said, so you'll never have an issue if you do everything right now. But this was like the canary in the coal mine. It lets you know that you need to make sure you're cool. So there you go.
So how did you change your diet? What's your diet? Like no meat? Is that what it is? More like vegetarian?
Yeah, no meat, cut out all sweets. I don't drink. I never really drank, Kenny. Every once in a while I'd have a shot of tequila before the show.
What about, so was it a triglyceride, a fatty sugar?
It was just, they just think it's like, all that plaque forms in your arteries, and I had like a 95% blocked artery. So coming off a smaller one, but it was still like, whoa, what's going on here? Something's not working right.
Hey, and listen, that doctor part in you, that pre-med guy went, beep, 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 something's wrong, get me to the hospital. If you hadn't done it and tried to
play the show,
try to tough it out.
Yeah.
Or tough it out, you could have a heart attack.
I'm telling you right now, man, if you feel something, I know my body, you know your body, people know their body. Something weird's happening. It's like, that's what I just said, let's go right now. And there was, I was in Anaheim. There's like a hospital every 2 blocks. So it was, we were really, we were right
Yeah.
there, like in 5 minutes and here's a hospital, so that's what happened. So we laid off, the band laid off, we rescheduled, several shows, and we laid off for about 7 weeks. So, just to
Oh, that's not bad.
yeah, no, just to make sure everything was fine. But we've been back to playing. I think we've done, like 10 or 11 or 12 shows since we've been back working again. There's no issue at all and everything like that.
You probably feel better now.
I do. I feel better that I know what I'm doing, and I know that there's there's stuff, man. You got to watch stuff, and you have no idea. Like, I had no idea. I didn't see anything like that coming. So it's important to like listen to your body, and check it out and all that kind of stuff.
I get massive blood work every year just to see where I'm at. And, I'm like stupid. I mean, I want to say 5 years ago, my genetic age was like 23 or something. But so things can change very fast because your body's always going through changes.
That's right.
That's why it's good to get physicals. Blood work tells everything. It doesn't lie. So,
So I'm all good. We're all healthy. We're rocking. We're on tour this summer with at the Mardi Gras Party Gras with Brett Michaels. We're going all over, playing all the sheds and everything like that. Starting up in about 2.5 weeks, and it's just like, it's going to be killer. We've got tons and tons of shows. Lots of I think we're playing about 75, 80 shows this year. So,
oh, that's awesome, man. The cool thing, you can always say, hey, everybody, bring me along because you can have all my drink.
yeah. And they
More
love
for
it.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. They love that stuff.
But
All right, so I want to ask you one more thing. I mean, so you like me, we've done music our entire life. It's what makes us happy, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, every which way. We're blessed. And when we're happy, everybody around us hopefully is happy because we're the ripple effect of our joy affects everybody. But if you didn't do music, is there anything you'd go like, I mean, maybe it's pre-med, I don't know. What would you do if it wasn't music? Is there anything that you haven't done, or are you just saying, nah, I'm all in. This is what I'm doing till I drop?
man, and it's all I've done all my adult life. Well, even my juvenile life.
Child.
A child. I
Yeah.
mean, it's all I've ever done, and it's what I loved. I mean, I don't know anything else that I'd ever want to do. I mean, it's enabled us like to just be free. You know what I mean? Free to create, free to do whatever your mind, comes up with and stuff like that. It's like an artist, like painting. And I think it's the most blessed thing that happened. I thank God every day. I feel like we're blessed. I feel like I'm blessed that just every day I get to wake up and think about a song, write a song, get up on stage, make people happy. I mean, I've written songs, Kenny, where people have written me letters saying, like a kid said, I read your lyrics and I was about ready to commit suicide. And I ended up not, because you inspired me to keep going and keep life. I mean, maybe that's the whole reason I'm even a musician, was to save that one person's life. You know what I mean? I mean, it should.
That would be worth it.
Yeah.
That would be worth it right there.
Yeah.
You save one life. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
A life?
Yeah. Yeah. That's so, I mean, I just feel blessed. I wake up every morning and pinch myself and thank God that, that I'm alive, and thank God that everything is great. I have a great family. I have, 2 grandsons, 2 sons, a great daughter-in-law, a wife, like I said, Molly of 46 years, Molly. And just, I'm just I feel blessed. I mean, if music stopped tomorrow, I wouldn't stop playing music. You know what I mean? If our band stopped tomorrow, I'd say, I'd call up you and go, should we form something? Should we be playing somewhere? Let's do it. Or, I'd get Matt, we'd do more Kings of Chaos, or I'd do another a Talk Matsumoto group, a TMG thing, or I'd get together with Michael Cardelloni. We'd form another kind of thing. And Ted came out. I played with Ted about 3 weeks ago at a private event in Vegas, and he's coming to our show in Michigan. We're playing up in upper Michigan I think coming up in about the 3rd of July. And Ted had so much fun that when we play together, he's like, come on, I'll come. I'm going to bring my whole family. I'm going to be up there because I have a house up there and we're up there for the 4th of July. So we'll do Damn Yankees song. We'll do Coming of Age. We'll do Cat Scratch Fever. I'll come on stage. I said, you're in, so we're like excited about it. I mean, that's music. It's like when you and I get together, man, it inspires us. We talk, we laugh, we joke, we play, we just throw down, we do all that kind of stuff. And, that's what I'll do till the day I die.
I'm with you, dude. That's my answer to why would I change anything? Somebody once said to me, hey, you got a 5-year plan? I went, keep doing what I'm doing.
And after that, for another 5 years, right?
Of course. Hey, well, dude, listen, when you see Ted Nugent, tell him I say hi. He always said, man, I need your backbeat behind me. I says, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
That's right. Yeah, you do, Tim. I'll tell him that. I'll hit him up. I'll hit him up today and tell him that I was, that we were on the thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna text him right now.
Listen.
Shit, man.
Yeah, text him.
I'm gonna text him right now.
Tell him Kenny says, hey.
Kenny,
tell him I'm gonna get him on the podcast. Say you're gonna be on my podcast.
Shit, man. I'll do it. I'll tell him about it. You should come up to Traverse City, Michigan when we play July 3rd.
Oh,
come on.
That's one of the most beautiful places
I know, right?
in the United States.
That's where we're going to be.
How about the water? The water up there. It's like turquoise.
It's the best.
Turquoise.
It's the best. It's the best.
That's one of the best kept secrets in America is up there. Of course, you don't want to be up there in January or February, but it's beautiful. Listen, Jack, man, so cool that you came on. Man, I love you, and I'm so glad that just talking to you gets me so excited. We're both so positive and so into what we're doing. So it's a joy to even have a conversation with you. So thanks for making the time. And I'll see you. I'll see you down the road.
Kenny, you and I have a connection. I don't know what it is, but we got a serious connection, and that connection is going to last us for the rest of our lives, man. So if you need me for anything, you got it. Okay. That's where I'm at. So you guys take care. I love your podcast. And I'm going to tell Ted he's got to get on this thing.
All right, man. All right, take care, Jack. See ya.
You got it.